Hi, this is Coach Phil for chessacademy.com.au, and today I'm going to show you how to win with a king and a queen against the king in 4 simple steps. Something important to know is that the only place that you can checkmate the opponent's king is on the edge of the board. So we need to make moves which will drive the king to the edge, and that's when it will be checkmated. So let's get started. Step 1 is to bring the queen to a square which is a knight move away from the opponent's king. As you can see on the board now with the highlighted squares, they are all the squares that the king could move to if it was a knight. So that would be a knight move away from the king. Okay, so best to choose a square which limits the king's choices, locks it into the smallest square on the board, and so we could make this move here. Now the second step is to shadow the king. What I mean by that is that whichever direction the king moves, the queen moves just like its shadow, one square in the same direction that the king moved. So let's see what that looks like. And so the queen now will move diagonally in the same direction as the king, and we continue to do this until we force the king to the edge of the board, and there it is. It could have moved a little bit further down and into the corner, but to speed things up, we've just moved it over to there. Now the third step is to lock it in. So whichever edge of the board the king is on, we move in onto the queen onto the adjacent file or rank. So here it's on the A file, so we need to move the queen to the B file, which would lock the king in on the edge of the board. And there we have it. Now something to note before we go on to the next step, we want to follow the king once it's locked in on the edge to a point where it cannot cross over the halfway mark on the board. So where it is now, it cannot cross to A5 because the queen is guarding that square, and that's what we want. If the queen was a little bit further up on the B7 square, the king could easily cross over, so we don't want that. So we would want to chase it and follow it until it couldn't cross over like now. Okay, so the final step, once we've done that, is to bring the protector or the helper, which will guard the queen when it delivers checkmate. And where we've got to bring it is to a key square, and that key square is 2 steps diagonal from the nearest corner of the opponent's king. So that would be C3 in this case, and let's go ahead and see what happens. And once it reaches the key square, the next step will be checkmate. So king moves, and hugging checkmate, game over. So just to recap, the 4 steps are to move the queen a knight move away from the opponent's king, then shadow the king by moving exactly the same way that the king moves until we get it to the edge, and once it's on the edge, from the nearest corner we move 2 steps diagonally, and that is the key square where we need to move our king before delivering checkmate with the queen. Okay, and there we have it again. Okay, hope you enjoyed that. As always, it takes a little bit of practice, but this is quite handy in knowing how to do this, especially under time pressure in a tournament, because it requires very little thinking. You just follow the steps, and checkmate is inevitable. Okay, see you next time.